Happy Friday, Flock Nation. It is July 12th. We're so glad to be with you here inside the vault for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison. Today is kind of symbolic. This is the last Friday before actual training camp work, at least for rookies, to kickstart the 2024 season. They do report tomorrow. That's Saturday the 13th, and then a week later, the vets and everybody else will be in the building. We'll be off and running in just a few short days from right now. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. Before we get into our rundown, there's a lot of people talking about what they're up to this weekend. What are you doing? What do you got going on?
Aiden and London are in a play this summer, and they have opening weekend or opening performance tonight, and they've got several performances, and then we're fitting baseball and other sports in between there. So we're going to be running around quite a bit.
I was going to say, you're well repped in that household with the kids. It's a diverse bunch in terms of like what they're up to.
I don't even
Right,
ask. I have
theater,
to ask you though. You're oh yeah. Oh, we got them doing everything.
Theater. Yeah, they do a little bit of
Theater,
everything.
sports, instruments, languages, everything. Yeah.
Hey, happy belated to Troy. Turned 37 yesterday. He's not doing much this weekend. It's going to be a rainy one in Maryland. All he wants to do is be happy and stress-free. Well, enjoy it, Troy, and happy belated. And yeah, you know where I'll be.
Aiden turned 13 yesterday.
He did.
So he's my second teenager.
So Troy and Aiden have the same birthdays.
7/11. It's perfect.
7/11.
And Aiden was born 7/11/11.
Okay.
That's nice.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, when does I know that I'm a Leo in terms of my sign. I don't know when the Leo window begins, though. I'm the 27th.
I have no idea.
Of this month. So it's got to be starting soon, if not already. Maybe people know that are signed people in the comment section. But
and we know that you got your paint date ready?
Yeah, paint date. That was funny. Who referred to that as the paint date at the end of yesterday? Somebody did.
I can't remember. They'll have to remind us who it was. I think it was Truth Bearer.
No paint date has come to fruition yet, but you know where I'll be this weekend. I am, though, splitting it up for the first time since 2 weeks tomorrow since I've been back. And I'm actually going to go to Old Forge, spend some time with the Florida Trossett crew that's up on the lake.
Nice.
Spend some time with them tomorrow, but then Sunday, crack of dawn, we're back at it because we're painting the backside of the house. So that's where we're at.
Zane says Leo season starts July 23rd. But let's get to football.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you, Zane.
Yeah.
But we do have football to discuss today. And Jeff Zrebiec, earlier in the month, July 2nd to be exact, courtesy of The Athletic, looked at a few potential changes that could be coming. Perhaps they're under the radar. Perhaps they're not being talked about in some circles. Is that what you referred to it as?
No, he did a Q&A.
Okay.
He did a Q&A, but within that Q&A, I picked up on some changes that could potentially be happening. Two that I don't think enough people are talking about. And one, it's all we can talk about. And then a change that everybody wants to happen that he kind of poo-poos. So
okay.
We're going to do that. Yeah.
So we'll revisit that. We'll take a look at Lamar's offseason as he continues to dazzle on the national scene. He was a big factor and not only a participant, but an awardee from last night at the ESPYS, the annual sports awards night on ESPN.
Awardee?
Is that even a word?
Could be.
Probably not. He was a nominee and he ended up winning an award. So we'll tell you which one he won and whether or not we actually believe that he was the best choice of the four. I'm not of that belief, but we will have that conversation.
Award winner.
There
you go.
Award winner.
Yeah.
Hit us with your, what is it?
Oh, here you go. You're going to put me on the spot. And I haven't practiced today. I got it. Mercurial.
Okay.
Boom. See? Feel so proud of myself.
You came out hot. That one.
The next word I need to learn how to say is this symbol right here above the 7. The amps.
Oh, the asterisk?
No. That's above the 8.
What?
I'll try it tomorrow. I'll try it on Monday.
All right.
The amps.
Look forward to that.
They're
Oh, and you and I are having so much fun that I didn't even bring the slides in. Let me do this right now.
Yeah, you pull those in.
You talk a little bit about.
And then, other things we're going to be talking about today. Bill Barnwell of ESPN. And by the way, once training camp starts, we're going to be doing a lot less of these rankings. This is ranking season for sure.
Right.
But Bill Barnwell did a ranking of best supporting casts to quarterbacks. Okay, so he's looking at who's got the best trio of running back, wide receiver, and tight end. I just pulled up, by the way, Jeremy Fowler's polling that he does with NFL executives. Today is tight ends. So we've got where the NFL executives, what they had to say about Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think that's most of what we got going on today.
Nice. Yeah, we've already looked at defensive tackles, running backs, and safeties. So next up is tight ends. Look forward to that. But let's get into what Jeff took a look at earlier in the month, and we'll begin with perhaps you two are in lockstep here when it comes to backup quarterback in Baltimore. Unsatisfied as of right now.
Yeah. So here's the question. Let's pull up the question. There's actually a few changes he says could be coming here. So Jeff was asked about kind of the topic we addressed a little bit, but then he expanded. So Paul W asked Jeff, who are some of the remaining free agents you think are the best fit to bolster the squad? So he went straight to safety, talked about how he wanted somebody, same thing we've been saying. You need somebody there to be able to free up Kyle Hamilton, free up Zachary Orr so you can use Kyle Hamilton everywhere. He talked about that the market is depressed for safety Justin Simmons. And if he's willing to come at a modest price, that would be a coup for Eric Takac. That really would be a coup. But we dove deep into that yesterday. We talked about Justin, how much he must be asking. Talked about other people. Quandre Diggs is the guy we talked about. So he's expecting a move at safety. We all kind of expect that. Now, here's the part that's a little bit less expected, but is potential. Jeff said, I'd love to give you the names of a few interior offensive linemen because the need is obvious, but it's not a very good list. I see what he's saying, that it's obvious and that you've let go of your last guards, but I felt like there's been so many internal candidates, and because we didn't watch OTAs, Bobby, to me that wasn't obvious. I've been thinking Voorhees, and then on the right-hand side, Cleveland or Johnson or just a ton of candidates, right?
You've got Sala, you've got Carey, who can always be used, but you don't want to use them there. You've got, to your point.
Yeah, and I thought at worst we know what the floor is for Cleveland, and his grading last year when he came in for Zeitler was, solid grading, not phenomenal, but solid. So I thought that was like the worst you could do. So I was surprised, but he's been out there at OTAs and he's been talking to coaches and players. So I think Jeff, I'm going to give, the nod to Jeff that he would know better than us. So that is something that we haven't been talking about, a potential offensive lineman coming in. So he says, but the list isn't good. You have Phil Hayes, Connor Williams, maybe when he's healthy, a few other names that could fit if the price is right. He's got running back Cam Akers, wide receiver Corey Davis, and outside linebacker Emmanuel. How do you say his last name? Ogba. Okay. So what's interesting, so he threw out those other ones because it's like, I obviously want receiver depth. So been pushing for that. We might need running back depth. It depends on what, how they look at, you've got Henry and you've got Justin.
Justice. Yeah.
Yeah. Justice Hill. And so how do you feel about, some of the rookies until Keaton Mitchell comes back? So that's something that people aren't really talking about because you have Derrick Henry. And then he said, while I made it clear above that I'm not concerned about the backup quarterback, I am. I'd at least consider seeing whether Ryan Tannehill has any interest in backing up Jackson and reuniting with Henry. This seems like so... maybe Tannehill isn't interested, but to me, I just don't understand based off of 2021 and 2022 when Lamar Jackson went down. I believe both times the Ravens were winning the North. And then the first time they missed when he went down, they missed the playoffs altogether. And then the second time they make the playoffs, but it's one and done. And so if you have any sort of stretch, let's say Lamar's down 4, 5, 6 games, I feel way better about Ryan Tannehill and Henry being able to keep a record at least at 500, right? So you're not completely just like losing ground and hoping that you can stay alive for a playoff berth. To me, I would do that. So safety, obvious. Offensive lineman, obvious to Jeff, not to me. Some of these others, we'll see. But I would like to see that Ryan Tannehill conversation.
Well, I'd take him over anybody that they have on the roster in terms of best viable backups. And I think that's where you're going. What I see him being, though, this year is last year's Joe Flacco, waiting patiently for the opportunity when the inevitable happens in the NFL and the injury bug gets somebody. I think his number is going to be called.
Right.
And
I don't know that he'll come in and like win all those games like Joe did, but
I was going to say
he'd be the Joe, meaning he's waiting for the right opportunity.
Right. Yeah. To be clear, right at that time, not necessarily on a magical ride. That really worked out incredibly well for Joe, and it was a team that he kind of took under his wing, and there was a lot of talent there to be taken. So that's what I view him as. But to Jeff's point, you have to at least check in, you would think. And given the reports that are out there in recent years, whether it was Baker Mayfield last offseason or others, they clearly are telling you with those actions, with those reports at least, that they feel like they can upgrade in that slot as well.
Yeah. I will say the one thing about offensive linemen, I feel like the Ravens have shown that they feel fine at guard, which is why they haven't signed anybody. To me, I thought that was a signal that they were fine. But again, he's been watching OTAs. We haven't.
But that's the feel, and we've had that feeling for a while now.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many it's kind of the opposite of wide receiver, which is what we discussed earlier in the week. Like there aren't that many candidates in-house should your top dog go down at wide receiver. You're not feeling great about that.
Right.
If whoever ends up starting for them September 5th, if he were to go down, knock on wood, early into the part of the season, you're not feeling as if that's a dire situation.
Right. And the Ravens it just seems like not only do they not have like these top-ranked wide receiver groups, but then they also don't have depth. They've done this before, so I would just think that they would try to get more depth. But anyway, second potential change that I mean, it seemed like there were a few in there, but second slide, I guess, of them. You want to take this one? Speaking of guards and what could happen there?
Yeah, sure. So Pat K asked Jeff, any thoughts on Daniel? I want to make sure I get this is like an interesting, it's not Falele, it's Faalele. So I want to make sure I get that.
There you go.
Any thoughts on Daniel moving to guard? Being a bit too slow for tackle, is guard not his best position? And Jeff answers Pat and says, there are definitely those thoughts. In fact, there are some people inside the Ravens facility who believe he's better suited at guard. He got plenty of reps inside during the various offseason workouts. He's very much in that mix. That came as a surprise to me. That's not the fact that, right. Not
that he didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
But that other part.
But also like not what he lacks. We know what he lacks. We've seen what he lacks. We've heard Joe D, Ravens offensive line coach, talk about respectfully and constructively what he lacks. So that didn't surprise me. I hadn't realized that he even has those reps under his belt. So Sarah, then add another potential candidate into play here.
Right.
For what we just talked about.
Well, the part that got me is he said there's people inside the building, inside the facility, who believe he's better suited at guard. So, I mean, he can still be depth at right tackle, right? But not that you've got Rosengarten and you've got McCary. McCary's depth everywhere.
Right.
But, that'd be a massive guard.
And this is a guy who, for sure. This is a guy who was a part of the rotation last year. Remember, it was Ronnie
at right tackle
at left.
Yep.
And it was Morgan and Daniel on the right-hand side.
I think McCary got in there a little bit too, but yes.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, where doesn't
at some point? Yeah, exactly.
Where doesn't Patrick McCary
Where
want to get
didn't he
involved?
play?
By the way,
Okay.
6'8", 379, the measurables for Daniel, a native of Melbourne, Australia, and a former fourth rounder from the 2022 draft. So if you can use him in other areas and he has that versatility, which it looks like they're experimenting with, and it looks like, to Jeff's point, people believe that he does have that within him, why not add him into the battle come 2 weeks from now? 1 week from
Well,
now.
they know they have a better idea of what they want to do because all those guys were there at OTAs. Now they didn't have pads on, so that's where the real battle begins. But they certainly have a plan for that battle. All right, next one up. Now this one, this is more to make me feel good.
What an evil laugh that was.
This is because I've been pounding the table for this, and everybody that's been listening to the show knows that. So I'm here with Sean B. He's asking Jeff. He goes, we heard a fair bit last year about, two tight end cents with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. He said, but that didn't really happen, at least not when they were both healthy. He says, we hear the same chatter again this year. I'm one of those people chattering, Bobby. Okay. So he says, do you expect the two tight end sets to gain more traction this year? And if so, what makes the situation different from last season? Great question, Sean.
Yeah,
here we go.
Like that.
And of course, I like the answer because this is what I want. Jeff's giving me hope.
Okay.
He says, I do have those expectations, and I'll give you 3 reasons why. Number 1, Likely emerged in the second half of last season while Andrews was sidelined with injury. He showed everyone how dynamic he can be when he's involved, and he's carried the momentum throughout the offseason. He looked terrific, Bobby, terrific in minicamp.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it favors the offense. The defensive guys can't really put their hands on anybody, but still, we saw what he did during this season last year.
Acrobatic catches, where he's supposed to be.
The chemistry with Lamar.
The chemistry, the quickness. Isaiah's becoming a mainstay.
Yeah. Number 2 reason why he expects it to be different from last season and actually pop off. He says the Ravens seemed focused for the first half of last year on getting their wide receivers as involved as possible after drafting Zay Flowers, the healthy return of Rashad Bateman, and the signings of Odell Beckham Jr. and Nelson Aguilar. That's fair. That is true. And he says they just aren't as deep at wide receiver this year. There aren't as many mouths to feed in the passing game. I don't want that to be the reason why it gets done, but it is a legitimate. It's probably one of the biggest reasons to have faith in it, that it's like Likely becomes, they don't have the depth over at wide receiver because they're like, why should I pay all that when I've got Mark and Likely and I'm going to get them both involved?
You know what, too, Sarah? I think it's fair to say that there may have been some pressure felt by Lamar with Odell being on the field last year, in terms of the feeding or the looks or just his sheer presence alone and what that comes with as a quarterback. I think that's probably true. Yeah.
It's probably true.
I don't know how much it weighed on him, but
yeah, I mean, Lamar doesn't seem to take too much weight on that type of stuff, but it is a factor, and he does say all the time he wants to get everybody involved. Yeah. And it's kind of like the same reasoning, right? That you bring in Henry, and now there's like, hey, John and Todd, you can't forget about the running game anymore, right? In the AFC Championship game, because it's Derrick Henry, and then it would even be more egregious than it already was. Yeah. So the number 3 reason Jeff gives that he thinks it's going to take off this year, the 2 tight end sets, he says, Todd Monken has a year under his belt and a better understanding of Jackson's strengths and the team's personnel. I have a hard time believing he won't conclude that the Ravens present a ton of matchup difficulties with both Andrews and Likely on the field. Mm. Look at those 2 guys in that picture. I just love it. Let's just get them out there all the time. I'm here for it.
Right.
Now, anything else on here?
I love it. I love the 3rd too. Todd understands what he has at his fingertips, and we're all just waiting to see these 2 coexist together on the field, be healthy together, give Lamar 2 security blankets out there.
Oh, I love it. All right, I'll let you take this. And this is not a change that is likely to happen, but this is one that I know we get lots of questions about. I've seen on Twitter a lot. You want this one?
Yep. Chris asks Jeff, do you see a scenario where the front office could attempt to trade for a Matt Judon type before the year? I feel like we're a little thin at the top of the edge depth chart. Oh, that sounds familiar. Jeff writes, I've been surprised before, but I don't see that happening, at least not for a guy with a significant price tag. That's what Judon certainly commands at this point. The Ravens are working to add cap space because the roughly $5 million they have is nowhere near enough to get through the season. Taking on a significant contract before the season just doesn't seem viable. My guess is they'll continue to evaluate their is it cadre?
Yeah, cadre of young.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. My guess is they'll continue to evaluate. Jeff stumping me with his vocabulary. My guess is they'll continue to evaluate their cadre of young edge rushers, and if they don't like what they see early in camp, they could go the veteran free agent route. Guys like the aforementioned Emmanuel Agba, Yannick Ngakwe, former Raven, cup of coffee here, Carl Lawson, and Jerry Hughes are all still available. There's also the potential for a pass rusher to become a target before the November 1, right around November trade deadline. Yeah, Judon, since leaving Baltimore, Sarah, he's sustained what we saw towards the end there. He's been that guy, and he is going to come with a hefty price tag. Would you be surprised as well, like he is? He would be.
Yes, especially at this point. I agree with Jeff. Like, and I've said this before. Even Jeff said it. We've said it on the show. There's a lot of candidates, young guys, a lot of investment to the draft. So you're gonna take training camp with the pads on to see whether you think they're ready. They're here. They're ready to take the next step. They're taking the step. Yep. If you're feeling nervous about it, then you do what you did last year. Kyle Van Noy was week 3, right? Or if you get down to the trade deadline, that's to me, like, you get better bargains at the trade deadline than you do, closer in the off season. Because it's when teams are like, all right, well, there went that season. Let's get ready to rebuild. We've already lost it all. So if the Ravens were to trade for Judon at all, and I don't know that that's going to happen, I could see more of a trade deadline going down. It would be sick. I mean, that would be add Judon. Yeah, well, that'd be nice. I just don't see it happening. And if it did, I think it'd be closer to the trade deadline.
Well, what a great story he's become. Another guy that was a mid-round day 3 pick for the Ravens who's been around for multiple NFL contracts. They got him in the 5th in 2016 out of Grand Valley State.
You know what's funny is we went out to dinner last night, and on the TVs they had the Division II NCAA championship football game. And so we start talking about like how many people, because like my husband was like, oh, nobody cares about that. I was like, well, it's like, you'd be surprised. Guys are still fighting for their careers, that you either to transfer over to a Division I school. And I brought up Matt Judon. I was like, Grand Valley State was Division II, and he got drafted out of it. And look at him now.
How freaking cool is that?
If your organization is worth its salt, it's taking a look at those types of things.
For whatever it's worth, at an Orioles game earlier this season, I sat next to, and I didn't know it at the time until we started chatting, his girlfriend and his son, and he still spends a decent amount of time in the offseason in the Maryland area. Just saying. He's right down the road, EDC.
He's right there.
But to Jeff's realistic point, it's a hefty one, monetarily speaking.
Last thing, this has nothing to do with changes, but I thought some people might like to hear this, especially those that are still ticked off. Like Stephen J. said that he felt like there hasn't been much accountability from the coaching staff, and it's really, he just wants to know, like, have you heard anything, Jeff, that makes you think that like they feel like they are accountable for what happened in that AFC title game? So Jeff replies, I wouldn't judge it by what coaches have said in news conferences. You can guarantee, though, that some tough conversations were had behind closed doors. Owner Steve Bisciotti has those kinds of conversations with John Harbaugh. And by the way, when I interviewed Steve, he told me he talks to Harbaugh almost every day. He talks to Ozzie almost every day. I'm sure he talks to EDC every day. Like, We don't see him. He believes in hiring his guys and letting them do their job, and he also likes to be behind the scenes. But he talks to him every day, and he asks tough questions. I mean, it's not in Steve's nature to not ask tough questions. So anyway, back to Jeff. Owner Steve Bisciotti has those kinds of conversations with John Harbaugh. Harbaugh has those kinds of conversations with coordinators and assistants. That AFC title game loss left a mark on everyone in the building, and there's been plenty of soul searching done since. It's up to the coaches and players to get themselves back in that situation and to write a different ending.
Yeah.
So
that's been painfully obvious, right?
Yeah.
Think about the amount of player interviews that have been conducted since that game in January. Not a lot of them spoke directly afterwards, and yet it may have been weeks, if not months afterwards, that we heard from like a ton of them, and they all began their press conferences, of course, being asked about it, and most said how difficult those not only days were afterwards, but a chunk of the offseason was.
Ugh, yeah.
So there's no doubt that right.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that it was a cloud. You just hope that it's not continuing to be a cloud, and you just channel your energy in the right ways in order to get back to where you once were.
I would like to know, you know how they always have that Jupiter meeting down in Florida after every season? I would like to know what Steve kind of, like, what he maybe pushed for a different direction. Like, I wonder, or how much of it was like, was he behind, okay, let's go get a running back? Was he behind any of that? Like,
or like,
anyway.
how did he choose to like structure that trip? What was the overall like tenor and environment there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is it typically, like after a season? No season that, I mean, we're in the Lamar era. Any season that finishes short of a Super Bowl, right, is considered a disappointment, at least as of right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, before we get to Lamar, who continues to do his thing on national stages this offseason, this live stream is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. We've told you about Manta Sleep many times before, and they're going to be with us all football season as a main sponsor here on the channel. These sleep masks give you true 100% blackout for a deeper sleep. You've got C-shaped eye cups for unbeatable side sleep comfort. Sarah and I both rock what you're looking at on the screen right now. It's the Manta Sleep Mask Pro. Her kids typically steal them from you, don't they? But you see all the different advanced materials, breathability. These are our go-to sleep masks, whether it's for deep sleep, side sleep like you see there, napping, you name it. You can visit the show notes below if you want to get one today. And if you click on it, use our discount code. You find something you like, VAULT10. That's VAULT10 will get you 10% off your next purchase. And we just want to say thanks to Manta Sleep for sponsoring the channel.
Thank you, Manta Sleep.
So the ESPYs, the annual sports awards, best moments, best plays, best players, best teams, all that good stuff was last night on ESPN. And let's just say number 8, his suit game has been outrageous these days. He and Cam Newton, he and Serena Williams. But look at him, all black everything, looking like $1 million. Did you watch any of this?
I just got the clips. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a long event.
Like, I was scrolling channels as I was going to bed, and I saw it, and I was like, I'm just not up for this. Just let me know where Lamar ends up, So that's more what I did. But yeah, no, look at that. He's got that chain. What are those glasses? The rims of them.
They make the outfit.
Yeah.
They make the outfit.
It's for those that haven't seen him. He's in an all black suit, black shirt. Is that a turtleneck underneath?
Mock
and what?
tee maybe? Yeah.
What's that?
Like a mock tee. I can barely see it, but he's looking like he's looking like $1 million. And who knows?
Yeah.
The entire outfit could be close to that number. You never know.
But it's all the jewelry, like you said, and the glasses, like you said, the jewelry, like the gold chain, the ice and gold he's got on his wrist, the ring on his finger. that looks as big as the Ravens Super Bowl ring I have. But yeah, it was a who's who there. And then he won what he was up for. I think he was only no, he was up for 2 awards. He was up for best NFL player. As we know, he won the MVP, but best NFL player will include stuff in the playoffs. And Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl, and he was a Super Bowl MVP, so he won that, I believe, the second year in a row. But Lamar was also up for best play, the one where he caught his own pass in the AFC Championship game, which was pretty sweet. And then he had a very Lamar-esque, lovable speech afterwards.
Lamar Jackson.
Hugging his mom there in all white next to him, of course.
Felicia Jones looking good.
Hugging everybody up on stage.
I don't really got nothing to say, man. I didn't. First and foremost, I do got something to say. I want to thank God. I want to thank God. But I wasn't expecting this, man. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate my teammates, my coaching staff, my beautiful mother right here in the front. Have a good evening.
And there she is.
Well,
he had that. Where's that laugh? Let me see. When he first gets up, it's that laugh. Whether he's hit and at the bottom of a pile on the field, or he wins an award. Where's this? Let me find this laugh. Here we go. Where is he? Here we go. I didn't have anything to say. Ha ha ha.
I don't really got nothing to say, man. I didn't.
It's so true. I was going to say it's his nervous laugh, but he's not nervous on the field.
No, he's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Lamar. We got to get a name for his laugh. The Lamar laugh, Lamar chuckle.
This guy, man.
Lamar whatever. And he's like, I don't really have anything to say. No, I do. I want to thank God. I do have things to say. And then, of course, gives glory to God, to his teammates, to his coaches, and then always his mom.
I tell you what, he kind of said it there. He didn't expect it. I think he was shocked that he was up there. He had no clue what to say, leading you to believe that he thought that. And let's go through what the other nominees were.
Okay.
And first of all, again, Serena, Cam, and then I never mentioned Halle Bailey there on the far left with him. And there's many other photos of him rolling around as well, including he and Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers quarterback. I'll take the sound off it just so we can talk over it. But Bryce was, they dapped each other up on the red carpet, and Bryce was literally just saying, like, much respect to you. You could just tell there's just an affinity for guys that have come after Lamar, and honestly come before him as well. We've seen that in the past. But the nominees for the best play: Lamar catching his own pass like we talked about and running with it in the AFC Championship game. Alabama football scoring on 4th and 31 to take down Auburn in November of 2023. Anthony Edwards with just one of the most ridiculous dunks that you will ever see in the NBA of the Minnesota Timberwolves in March of 2024. And then Jada Coleman, she called game, sending Oklahoma to their 4th straight national championship. That is softball in June of 2024. So I personally love you, Lamar. I personally would have went the Alabama way. I thought that was one of the most ridiculous finishes to a game that I have ever seen in my life. And so that's where I would have went. What about you?
Well, first of all, let me point out here, Greg over here is having a hard time that I love the Lamar's chuckle. Here goes Sarah again, loving everything Lamar does. Come on, Greg. You don't like that chuckle. You tell me that you don't like the Lamar laugh. Come on.
Now, wait a second. You're on record for loving Lamar, so that's just how it is. You haven't.
I just need to know, I'm about to disagree with the play also that should have won, but I just need to know. Do you not like Lamar, Greg? Do you not think he's a likable guy? Just let the group chat know. Are you here to say that you don't like Lamar's personality, which is what we're pointing out right now? He doesn't have a lovable personality. Come on, Greg.
Where were you going with this screenshot?
Anyway, to point out that Just to point out. No, I don't. I'm surprised that play won. And let me say why. First of all, it was sweet. Like, look at that. I mean, it was an interception. That Snead is about to grab that. Within the game, that was a sweet play. If he had taken it to the house, and which everybody's like, oh, he could have if it were like 2019 Lamar. I don't think so. The guy's right there and grabs his legs. It's not like he got caught from behind. Now, but if he was somehow able to break that tackle and take it to the house in the AFC title game, I think I would say that would have been the best play. But I don't even think that this was the best play for Lamar on the year. And I don't think it was the best play for the Ravens. And what's funny, Bobby, is I saw a video that the Ravens team had posted, and I'm assuming the NFL made it. So, but each team has access to all the videos that the NFL makes, and you can choose what you want to post. But anyway, the Ravens post it, and this play that won best play of the year in all of sports. Okay, all of sports in 2023.
It's ridiculous.
I love you, all Lamar. Of sports the whole year, but for the Ravens, the Ravens posted a video, and this was number 10 of the year.
On the Ravens team, like you
Correct.
may even go into the game itself. Now there weren't many of them, but okay, maybe not the AFC Championship game. Like this may have been the best play, just in terms of like the spectacular nature of it in the game for the Ravens.
Yes, it's a sweet play.
But like Zay had some plays in that game that could rival this, right? And so that's where it just lost me. Not only with the competition that it had in terms of the nominees, but the fact that, like you just said, the team didn't even have it in its top 5.
Here's what I would say is that, so I thought this would be fun. We could put our top 5 plays of the Ravens for the year. Okay. And this one, I think I put it at number 5 or number 6. I would be shocked if most people didn't choose this one right here. This is Tylan Wallace with his punt return for a touchdown in overtime to beat the Rams.
It won him a game.
Lamar himself was freaking out when it went down.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if Lamar would choose this play.
This was walk-off fashion, late in the year, jam-packed at the bank, right? Not the cleanest of games that you will ever find for operationally speaking from the Ravens. And they find a way to really just steal one.
Right.
And it comes with your backup return specialist. He's your backup. He wasn't even supposed to be returning punts.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so for Tylan, Devin is down. Tylan is thrust into that. It gets an opportunity.
Feels like the game's slipping away.
Totally. And just the vision that he showed on that play.
Right.
And the entire sideline running with him, given what was on the line. How can this not be your top play? It won him a game.
Okay, so so we're on the same page. This was probably the best play of the Ravens season, let alone in all of sports, like that he won that. The best play for me, for Lamar on the season, was this one against the Jags. This one, unreal to me. This one by far. If I had to choose my favorite Lamar plays of the whole season, hands down, it's this one against the Jags, where he bought time for Bobby. I think it was like 9-point-something seconds, almost 10 seconds. On the left, you can see the screen grab where he's nearly sacked. He's got one hand on the ground, making sure none of his knee or something doesn't hit. Gets back up, resets, and the same guy that tried to sack him gets past the offensive lineman again, comes running, barreling down in Lamar's face, hits him just after Lamar unloads across the field, by the way, to the left-hand side. About how many yards is it? I don't know what yard line he's on right there. Is that the 40? Unloads about like 30, but I don't know if it's the 40 on which side of the 50 it's on.
He's just inside the 40 there.
Just inside the 40, but because that triangle hash thing, what do we call that? The triangle is it might be about 30 yards.
Yeah.
But across the field, into double coverage, and then Isaiah himself makes a massive catch.
Yeah. Didn't
And, like,
Isaiah Moss him there?
Oh, yeah.
Close
Look at
to
him.
it?
Look
Yeah.
at him there. And then he gets
Yeah.
hit.
Unfortunately, we can't run the play. These are 2 screenshots. Some are asking
Right.
in the live chat for copyright
We
purposes.
wish we
but,
could, yeah. We would be demonetized if we did that.
Gosh, the more I think about it, you could this might rival Thailand.
Here's
Just
my
sheer
this was
nature.
actually, I think that's a fair question. This is what I was actually wondering with the ESPYs. Like, do they choose these plays based off of just how cool the play it is, or do you have to do it within the context of a game? Like, does it matter to them in the voting of like how much that play impacted a team's win? To me, it should.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So I guess what I'm saying here is that I still might put Thailand over the top because it won the game. But if you're talking about just like unbelievable play, and it did have an impact on the game, just not as much as that Thailand one did because it finished it off.
Yeah.
But like, this was unreal to me. To me,
Well,
if you were taking out context, this one would be my favorite play.
It makes me feel like that's what they're doing, because how could you not have that Alabama nominee?
Right.
Right? Or the
Right.
softball one. Like, how could you not have those that directly influenced the completion or the ultimate result of a game?
Right. Right.
You know, so yeah, not sure of the specifics of what the protocol is, but man, I just remember thinking, and this goes back to what we discussed earlier in the week with the whole Joy Taylor conversation about how we measure dual threat quarterbacks and their impacts outside of like passing touchdowns and passing yards and completion percentage and this, that, and the other. Show me the impact that you have on the game. Okay, just run this clip.
Right.
Run this play right here. You have absolutely zero business extending this play, but you find a way because you're 1-on-1. You have no business of having anything positive coming from the situation that you see on the left. And yet somehow he translates that to what happened on the right.
So Liza here said,
Liza
says that Lamar won because no other QB has ever caught his own pass and run with it. Is that true? I don't think that's true. No quarterback has ever caught his own pass?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure I've seen plays with that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. He got a first down. She says it is a one-of-a-kind play that nobody has ever done before.
Well, it was certainly unusual.
Regardless, we'll look it up. But thank you for the super chat, Liza. Appreciate that.
You know what it was, Sarah? Compared to its nominees, it was unusual.
It was unusual.
Right? And so when I look at the other nominees, and again, if you're just tuning in, it was Jada Coleman sending Oklahoma to a 4th straight national championship in epic fashion. Softball. Anthony Edwards, unreal dunk.
No.
Alabama,
yeah,
literally walking off on 4th and 31 to beat Auburn as time expires. And then Lamar. Like, what's the most unusual of the 4? It is Lamar. But what had the biggest impact in terms of what they all play the game for, these sports for, is winning. Right. I would think it's Alabama. But
by the way, I just Googled quarterbacks that caught their own pass. There's like a whole highlight reel of a ton of quarterbacks. There's a 9-minute highlight reel of quarterbacks catching their own passes.
Everybody's saying Marcus Mariota.
There's a lot. But either way, it was unique and it was incredible. Again, we've already beat that horse.
Thanks, okay.
Appreciate thank you,
Liza.
Liza.
DMV Nation as well for a $10 donation. Thank you.
Thank you, DMV Nation. Appreciate you. My next biggest play of the year was against the Bengals. Again, I wish I could play this. 3rd quarter, tight game. This is week 2. Lamar unloaded a deep pass. I want to say it was like 65, 70 yards that Zay Flowers caught with 2 Bengals defenders right next to him. It was it was a beautiful pass. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was right on the money, but I thought Zay was incredible. And it was the one, if we let this play out.
Yeah.
It was the one where you couldn't quite hear the whistle. So Zay got back up and he's juking and jiving again, thinking he's going to go score. And then he finally heard the whistle. That was a sweet play.
Well, you see this comment in the live chat, not to cut you off there, but Afterlife Omega says, this moment was when we knew Zay was it. I'll take it a step further. This was the moment when I felt like they had replaced Marquise Hollywood Brown. All right, I'm thinking to myself, oh wow, like they now have that vertical field stretching threat that's just going to not only run by you or laterally make you miss, but he can actually like bring the football down in a contested situation like this, blanketed by Cincinnati defenders. This was the moment when not only I knew Zay was that, but they had that element that they've been missing since Marquise walked out the building.
Yeah, I think that's a great thought. I think that's a great point. In week 2, you're like, and he gets up and he's in their face and it's a divisional matchup. In week 2, this rookie's like, come, let's go, bring me more. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you guys are right on that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like, did something get out of order or did I skip something? Let me see if I missed one. I think I must have accidentally deleted it. Between this Zay one and the Jaguars one of my favorite plays I'd put in the top 5.
Yeah.
And this is the one that I had a big debate with Emmanuel Acho online, is against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And Lamar said after the game, he did this on purpose. Lamar received the ball, snapped the ball to Lamar. He set up as a lefty. And I had all the screen grabs to prove it. I kept sending it to Acho. We were going back and forth. That man, it didn't matter how many screen grabs or videos or proof I showed him, or Dolphins players saying, yeah, it threw him off, or Lamar saying, yeah, I did it on purpose. We practiced it. And Acho was not like, he had his narrative and he wasn't moving. But Lamar clearly lined up as a lefty quarterback, and it 1000% made at least 2, maybe 3 Dolphins defenders think he was going to go somewhere else with the ball, which left Zay Flowers wide open down the sideline. And just as quick as you could see Lamar juke, he just flipped back to a right-hand quarterback and floated it perfectly to Zay, who ran it in for a touchdown. And that one may have been like 75, 80 yards. So that one I thought all Lamar, I would put Lamar. That one I think was better than the AFC title game. But then after that, I think I would finally go. I might even put, remember Lamar juked or got out of a sack in the AFC title game and then hit Zay for a touchdown. I almost might put that one ahead of the catch the throw he caught. But anyway, I guess that's kind of my point. I get why other teams or fans were like, why did that win? And I tend to agree. I'm happy that he won. Like, don't get me wrong. If it got voted, so he won. And I'm happy to see Lamar up there. But I would put some other plays that Lamar had before it.
Think about how many of these plays have the Zay component attached to it. You know, that duo, there's going to be more of those. And he just brought an element last year that they were searching for. And I can't wait to see how he builds off of that, given how active he's been this offseason.
So I think, yeah, we've made this point. Truth bearers, just like all those plays we pointed out are more common, which is true.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Some quick hits. What do you got?
Okay. So, this was Bill Barnwell ranking the best supporting casts in terms of skill players. So ranking the best wide receiver, tight end, running back. Have you read this yet? Do you know where they rank?
I have not.
Where would you guess? Where would you guess they are? Like a ballpark. The Ravens.
Yeah.
So we're talking Zay, Andrews, Derrick Henry. I'm putting you on the spot. It's not like you know all other teams and you can remember them, but
yeah, but this is league wide.
League wide.
At those 3 position groups.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, I'm going to have them outside the top 10.
Okay.
And I think tight ends, they're going to be top 5.
Okay.
And running back, I'd have them at the I'll go tail end of top 10.
Okay, so you got to put them as a group. He does it as a group.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going individually.
Yeah.
As a group, right around 5 through 7.
5 through 7. Okay. Bill put him 15.
Whoa.
Now I'm not going to read all that. He wrote a lot, and to be honest, I've read it, and he didn't.
Huh.
the writing matched where he ranked him at number 15. So he neither bashed the Ravens, but he didn't really go to bat for him either, right? I mean, that's an average ranking. Now, last year he had him at number 25. So I think it shows that he feels like they took a step up. I think he was, nice about Zay, and that he had a promising rookie year. But he feels like he's more of a gadget role than a traditional top receiver. I think he's more than a gadget guy. He talked about Mark Andrews being excellent when healthy, but obviously he talked about injuries. But then, it noted that Isaiah Likely is a nice backup. And then he feels like Derrick Henry may even have a better year than last year, but still maybe outside his prime. So I think that's why. And by the way, the one thing he said about Rashad Bateman, which I kind of think rings true. He says the organization has talked up Rashad Bateman this offseason, but it's tough to find many wide receivers who have been this unproductive through 3 seasons, even allowing for injuries, who have then broken out in year 4. I think that's something.
And that were awarded 3-year extension.
Yeah. Now, granted, it was a good pay. It was like financially wonderful for the Ravens, I think. Yeah. But I just think that's true. Like Bateman would be an outlier if he were suddenly to break out year 4 as a receiver.
Yeah.
But it could happen. So just so you know, some of the teams he put, which way did he go? Oh, he put 32 at top. So the number 1, just so you get an idea of some of the other teams he put ahead. He's got the San Francisco 49ers number 1. I don't think that's I mean, Debo, Kittle, and then McCaffrey.
For those 3 alone.
Yeah. For the Eagles, he's got Eagles number 2. Because you got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Take your pick. Saquon Barkley. And then Dallas Goedert. So Miami number 3, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle.
Where's Cincy?
Cincy isn't until 11. Okay. Houston is number 4. Tank Dell.
Diggs.
Yeah. Minnesota number 5. Jordan Addison's really he had even a better statistical year as a rookie than Zay. Bears number 6. Lions number 7. Seahawks number 8. Rams, Falcons, and then number 11 is Bengals. I don't think they have the. Joe Mixon was traded, replaced with Zach Moss. Mike Gesicki. So there you go.
Well, the Ravens are up considerably from
up 10 spots. So I think for him, he's given them respect from where he had him last year. Browns number 20, by the way, if you want to know the AFC North. Browns number 20. And where are these Steelers? I'm still scrolling. Still 27.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yet, they'll find a way to be there. They will find a way to be there.
Of course,
and you're right. Zay is so much more than a gadget guy.
Yeah.
He proved that last year.
Yeah.
Devin was never really able to prove that. Now, he did contribute.
Devin Duvernay?
He was an all-pro caliber special teams contributor.
Yes. Yeah.
But he never proved that he was more than that in terms of what he was drafted for, and that was to be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of tight ends, though, real quick, the other quick hit I have, Jeremy Fowler with his tight ends rankings talking to, I didn't pull it in. I found it after we pulled in our slides. So where do you think NFL executives have Mark Andrews? I like this game where I make you.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd be more on. I didn't think I'd be so far off with Bill. Okay, so where NFL executives have Mark league-wide at his position going into 24.
Correct.
Okay. They're going to have Kelsey and Kittle above him.
Correct.
I wonder if a couple others slip in front of him. I would personally have him at 3, but being that he was injured for a good chunk of last year, I'm guessing that they're sleeping on him a little bit. I'll go 4.
They kept him at 3 despite the injury.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was close, though. He said in here that Andrews and Lyons, Sam Laporta for the third spot were going back and forth in the voting process, but Mark came on top despite the injury. And he doesn't say which. He just says an NFL personnel evaluator said this about Mark. He's still a monster target in the middle of the field, huge catch radius, a matchup issue for safeties, and a bruiser after the catch.
Yeah.
Then Fowler writes, Andrews is considered more rigid than Kelsey, but is used similarly as a number one receiver / tight end. While receivers have come and gone in Baltimore's offense, which before last year was known more for the running game, Andrews has produced like a high-end pass catcher. And then another personnel evaluator said he's helped keep the passing game afloat for a long time. A lot of receivers have come and gone there, but not him. Okay, where do you think that they? I'll just tell you. I'm not going to make you guess. Isaiah Likely does not crack the top 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
But then there's honorable mentions. He does not make honorable mention. And then there's a list of just anybody that got a vote and Likely didn't get a single vote.
Well, let him sleep on him then.
Yeah.
Let him sleep on him.
Please sleep on him.
It's been a small sample size with Isaiah. So I can see why. But they can sleep on him, and that's fine. The top three, the top three has been Kelsey, Kittle, and Andrews for what feels like multiple years.
A long time. Yeah. Basically, maybe since Andrews' second season. Yeah.
All righty. Well, this is about it for this is about it before we get things going.
I don't know how much access we're going to have to rookies, but there's got to be some stuff. But they'll be coming in on Monday, and then veterans report the week after.
Yeah. Michelle and Neil, thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out. We appreciate your support that you give us through Patreon. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. All that information is included in the show notes below. And it goes a long way to helping us build on the back end. So next week's going to be pretty normal for us. After that, it begins a stretch of multiple weeks where you and I are going to be in and out.
Yes.
And I just want everybody to know, I don't want anybody to be surprised.
The show will continue, but there'll be a lot of shows where both of us are solo. More for you than me.
15 through 19 is totally normal.
Yeah.
That following week of the 22nd is going to be mostly you.
You're going to have your big birthday bash, 30 years old.
My 30th birthday. You got guys coming from near and far to Ocean City, Maryland. Looking forward to that and all the festivities. Then the week of the 29th, it will be mostly me, but you'll still be around for a few days, potentially 3 or 4. So not mostly me, but
well, I think I just missed one day that week, right?
Okay. Well, you were getting back to me on the 2nd.
Oh yeah, maybe 2 days. All right.
And then the first 2 weeks of August, you're going to see only me. And then Sarah will be back in mid-August, and we'll be rolling right around the time that preseason anyway, we'll be more communicative when we have all the dates fleshed out. But
Tiny's saying the rookies are reporting tomorrow. I thought it was Monday. Maybe I'm just thinking of our show. That's when we'll be talking about it.
Yeah.
Bad.
Rookies
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Tanya.
Vets and everybody else on the 20th. So, but anyway, next month and a half or so.
I need football.
Will be a little bit different, and we'll try to get as many, of course, as always, voices coming in and out. So, and Neil Harold is actually not often are the today's shout out patrons actually listening when
there we go.
Well, I shouldn't say not often, but sometimes it works out that way. So
both,
thank you, Neil. Appreciate you. Justin's wishing me happy birthday.
Early birthday. Yeah.
Don't age me yet, Justin. I got a couple more weeks. It's the 27th. Saturday the 27th, which there's a lot of people that have the 27th birthday, including Alex Rodriguez and Jordan Spieth and my late grandfather. All right. You ready to roll?
Yep.
Awesome. I hope you and yours enjoy the weekend. Everybody in the live chat, you do the same. Stay safe, stay cool, depending on where you are. And we will talk to you on Monday, of course. A noon lunch hour live stream awaits. Thanks to a fun week to have Wink Martindale and Mark Schlereth as sort of our featured guests. That was definitely somewhat
That already
surprising.
feels like a year ago. Look at my fireworks going off again.
Well, we all know how much you love the 4th. Just so you know, it's 8 days removed. The 4th is no longer. So thanks for continuing to celebrate our nation. And but yeah, Wink and Mark made it fun. And I have been reaching out to others too, like Chris Long, for example. Been trying to track him down for a while. Former what was he? Was he a defensive end, I want to say? Anyway, multi-time Super Bowl champ, and now he does a great, fantastic podcast called Green Light. So hope to have him on at some point. And of course, we're always working on things behind the scenes. So if you guys haven't already done so, like the video if you enjoyed the content.
We got to get Princely in here.
Oh, what's up, Prince?
He just wanted to make sure that we saw a super chat. Thank you, Prince.
He's always dropping them in. We see him.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So Tank says Sarah's going to be lighting off July 4th fireworks for 6 months. And Samuel Moore, thank you for your first ever live show participation.
Yeah,
we appreciate you guys. Definitely. Yeah, let everybody know. Tell a friend, tell a group message, tell a Facebook group. We're going to be doing this moving forward in live format as we have since March. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell to be alerted and notified when we're going live. Have an awesome weekend, and we will talk to you Monday.